Hey guys. What we are going to be doing today is moving into our next story in the Odyssey. Like always, we're going to be reading together. So if you don't have the text in front of you, go ahead and pull it in front of you. It is titled Land of the Dead. It is attached to your Google Classroom assignment, along with every other material that you need for today. So let's start with a little bit of a recap going into what we need to know before we get started on this story. So first things first. Complete your warm-up, number 5 in Google Classroom. Remember, you need to answer incomplete sentences. Please continue to be doing those. Some of you have kind of dropped off, so please make sure that you are continuing to complete those warm-ups before you get started on any of your other work for today. Okay, so a little recap of where we are in the Odyssey up to this point. Remember, Odysseus is telling this story to the court of the Phaeacians. Remember, we kind of have this frame story. He started out on Calypso's island. He washes ashore of the court of the Phaeacians. He goes up there. They sit him down. And they say, okay, tell us your story. And he goes, okay, let me tell you what happened to me. And then he tells us the story of what happened after he left Troy. So remember, the account that we're getting right here in these stories are just him sitting there telling the court of the Phaeacians what is going on. So remember, keep that in mind. This is from his point of view. Remember, he left Troy, and after he left Troy, we see him end up in the land of the Lotus Eaters. This was kind of on my recap yesterday for the Cyclops from on Instagram, my Instagram story. But he lands in the land of the Lotus Eaters. His men have the fruit. They lose the will to return home, and Odysseus basically has to drag them off this island. Then, the story we read last class period, the Cyclops, he lands on this island. Polyphemus traps him in the cave, starts eating some of his men, and then Odysseus shows that he's very intelligent. Remember, he has Athena as his patron goddess on his side. That he's very intelligent and can outwit Polyphemus by telling him, one, his name is Nobody, then strapping all of his men under the sheep, and also blinding Polyphemus. So he does a lot of intelligent things. We also see in the story that he's kind of cocky. He gets away from himself. He is not very humble when it comes to battles that he wins. He defeats Polyphemus, and then he's like, yeah, I defeated Polyphemus. And as he's sailing away on his ship, he's screaming at Polyphemus, you call me puny? You're the puny one. You damned cannibal, all of this stuff, kind of insulting Polyphemus. And that results in Polyphemus praying to Poseidon and saying, please do not let Odysseus get home. Make sure that Odysseus, and if he does get home, make sure that he is facing some really hard times. We're going to see that with the suitors in a little bit. And then also all of his men die. So we're going to keep that in mind as we start this next part of the story. Now, there are some things I need to catch you up on. So if you look at your text, there's a little box right under the title, and it kind of has a brief summary for what happens in between the land of the Cyclops and in the land of the dead. So there's a little bit that goes on there, but we're not going to stop and linger to read it because it's just not as important to our understanding of the story. So I'm just going to summarize it for you. So we'll read that together right now. Odysseus and his men sail to Aeola, where Aeolus, king of the winds, sends Odysseus on his way with a gift, a sack containing all the winds except the favorable west wind. So he lands on the island of Aeola. We have Aeolus. He is this kind of king of the winds, controller of the winds. Just picture him kind of as the wind. He gives Odysseus this gift, this bag of wind. And he says to him, once you are close to Ithaca, what you'll be able to do is just open this bag and it will take you home, straight home to Ithaca. And he says, do not open it before that point. You could probably make a prediction. If someone tells you not to open something, what are you inclined to do? Open something. So, when they are near home, Odysseus' men open the sack, letting loose a storm that drives them back to Aeola. Aeolus casts them out, having decided that they are detested by the gods. So, Odysseus tells his men, don't open this bag. You do not want to know what's in this bag. His men, obviously, curious. So they open the bag. That bag blows them all the way back to Aeolus. And then he's mad at them now. He said, I helped you once. I'm not going to help you again. Apparently the gods are not on your side. And so he casts them out and doesn't help them again. So we see that Odysseus kind of let his men down here. He probably could have told his men that he had this gift of this wind. They weren't to open it until they were close to Ithaca. And then they would have sailed home nicely. But he decided to keep it a secret from them, to tell them, don't touch this wind, don't touch this bag. And then they were obviously curious, so they opened the bag and kind of ruined everything. So Odysseus was very close to getting back to Ithaca. And again, it's all screwed up. They sail for 7 days and arrive in the land of the Laestrygonians, a race of cannibals. So we arrive in this land of the Laestrygonians. They go inland. They find out that all of these creatures are huge giants that are cannibals. Cannibals meaning that they eat humans. So these creatures destroy all of Odysseus' ships except the one he is sailing in. If we look in this image, we have all of his ships. They would beat them up, destroy them. You see them tearing apart a ship right here. And they would throw stones, throw boulders, just like the Cyclops, to destroy all of these ships. So at